Today we have Ralph Waldo Emerson's On Man and God. It's a small leather journal with excerpts from his thoughts and essays. And Emerson was a famous essay writer, a poet, and a leader in the Transcendentalist movement. If you've heard of Walden Pond in Massachusetts, I've been there when I was a baby, so I don't remember. But famous people, he owned that land in the pond at the time, and famous writers such as Henry David Thoreau spend a lot of time writing on it. So if you know any of those things, that just kind of give you some basic context of who we're talking about. But this book, it's real short, and it's because it's excerpts from his thoughts and essays. So kind of like when I read a book and I'll take excerpts from it that I want to share, someone already did that and divvied it up into different categories in this book, such as love, religion, just different things he talked about is put into this book. And I'm going to do the same style and take certain excerpts that made me think or I thought were interesting and share those with you. But really, if you are interested, it's a cool style because it's in leather. So it seems real old timey, it seems authentic. And I think this book is from the 1960s. So it just has a cool feel to it. But same thing, we'll start going through some thoughts I wanted to share. And the first one will be on page 5. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. He who would gather mortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness, but must explore it, if it be goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Absolve you to yourself, and you shall have the suffrage of the world. I like how he says not be hindered by goodness and to explore it. Having integrity of your own mind. Not a lot I'm going to go into on this, but I just thought it might be a message you want to hear because when I read it, it's just a supporting idea that whatever you believe in, go for it, right? These are the way I interpret these things. If you have some goodness in your heart or a great idea and maybe people aren't agreeing with it, just go for it. And anytime I interpret, I say it every video, but anytime I interpret these excerpts, it's where my mind was taking that thoughts. I'm not interpreting what he was saying. Whatever inspiration I gained from it, I want to share. And just not being deterred. If something is in the name of goodness, never being deterred by it, whether it's a good cause, right? Like some change you want in the world, no matter how hard that may be, just keep pushing towards it. Or if it's goodness on your own personal level, like a goal you have, if it's in the name of goodness, never stop pushing for it. If you stop pushing for goodness in your life or in the lives of those around you, that just means you chose the alternative, which is evil, which is bad, right? Hurt. Okay. Page 6. Difficulties exist to be surmounted. The great heart will no more complain of the obstructions that make success hard than of the iron walls of the gun which hinder the shot from scattering. It was walled round with iron tube with that purpose, to give it irresistible force in one direction. A strenuous soul hates cheap successes. You hear that so many times. We all joke about winning the lottery. Probably not joking. But the truth is, getting something through hard work is always going to feel better. Right? We'd all agree it would be great to be handed something, but there'd still be something wrong about it for most people. Like whenever someone's trying to give you something, it may feel wrong to take that. Not that it is wrong. It's great to help people and have blessings done on you, but to have worked for something or built something and you see the results of what you did and what people helped you to accomplish, that's where real success is. It's in the journey, right? That's what they always say. It's in the journey, not in the destination. It gives you something to work towards. But I liked the analogy of the iron tube, right? How tough things may seem around you, but like the bullet, that gives it direction to keep pushing through. So we may see all of these things around us that are so hard and things are going wrong, and you may literally feel like you're getting knocked around. But remember the chamber, that bullet, that allows it to propel forward with a lot stronger force and speed. So remember that in your own life. Don't look at things as negative. Look at it as an opportunity to grow. Because when the walls seem to be closing in around you and feel harder and harder each day, just remember, like the bullet, that's pushing you forward in the direction you need to be going. Next page, page 7. I'm going to skip that one, actually. We'll go to page 8. Page 8. Yesterday I went to Athenaeum and to look through journals and books, for wit, for excitement, to wake in me the muse, in vain and in vain. And am I yet to learn that God dwells within, that books are but crutches, the resorts of the feeble and lame, which, if used by the strong, weaken the muscular power and become necessary aids. He goes into a lot about books and how it can be detrimental. And just something I wanted to share is that it says God dwells within. And a lot I've learned hasn't been from books. I still read books because you hear so much about different great books and what they can teach you and how it can support or maybe share in a different way thoughts you've already developed, but it shares a different point. And somehow I've managed to learn a lot just by thinking. You know, God within you or God sharing ideas. If you're on a path and you take time to think and brainstorm with other people, you can develop a lot of intricate and developed thoughts. So wherever he was going with it, it talks more in the book, the direction he was going with how books, the effects they can have. But just from my own experience, it got me thinking the truth of it. Right? You need certain books to maybe learn about, or you don't even need it. You know, how to build a house, or you're going for literal thoughts, right? Math equations, right? But if we're talking about, and that's why I say you don't even need it, because if we're going about how to get to a certain outcome, you don't need a book to teach you how to build a house or solve a math equation. And I guess that's why it got me thinking that anything you want to do in life, if you put in the time, you can develop it in your own way. And it may seem backwards, but I almost don't like watching people or reading information, articles on things that I am passionate about. And you may be thinking it sounds backwards, but you have to do it with an open mind, because I worry about being swayed and learning it based on the way they do it and not my own unique way. And to share that example, it would be, what's his name? The House on the Rock. I can't think of the guy's name. I don't know his. I read about it once before. I don't know his way of thinking. But imagine if you went to school, and I'm just making up an example because I can't remember what his situation was. But if I went to school and I to build a house and I learned the box cookie cutter way of learning, of building a house, and I was successful at it, I may have lost my own inspiration that I had to become a builder. In the beginning, I may have had all these dreams, all these ideas, and I had my own way in which I did things. And what I worry about is becoming that cookie cutter house builder, right? And losing my own authenticity. And if we look at the house on the rock, I wish I could remember the guy's name, but the way he built his houses and designed them is so off the wall compared to the normal person. And I remember the gist of him building the house that was on the waterfall. And they wanted, if I remember right, they wanted him to build it next to a waterfall. And he built the house on the waterfall. So if you're not familiar with the house on the rock, there's a couple different buildings that he's done. But look it up because that represents the idea I have, and that you have your own authenticity. If you work to figure out something yourself, even if it's already been done before, I'm not saying not to use people for help because you can't learn everything yourself. You need to use people to learn and grow quicker. But there's certain things that I believe you should keep authentic, right? You should learn from someone how to swing a hammer, how to put in a nail. You need where to buy wood, how to cut it right. Right? There's a lot of things use other people to learn, but when it comes down to critical things that you're working towards, your goals, building a house, making videos, right? How you see the world, everyone sees it differently. And if you lose sight of the way you see it, now you're going to be following someone else's way. So look up House on the Rock, and you can find the different buildings he has. I wish I could remember the names, but you will see the way he did it. It's very different, and it's amazing how he did it. And maybe if he would have read all these books and followed all these other inspirations, it wouldn't have been his. It would have been an image of theirs. And if I'm remembering, I think that's what Emerson was talking about, just from his point, is that, yeah, you reading so many books, you're reading someone else's ideas. And that's the problem. It's not a problem. I shouldn't say it is a problem, but I should say that's where it can become a problem because now you stop thinking for yourself. And is that why there could be a problem with different governments and different countries when societies stop thinking for themselves? So we all know books are great to read and you're going to learn a lot. But remember to have your own basis, your own morals, your own values, and use these books, like what we're on book 7, I think it is now. Use that to develop your thinking even more. Spend a lot of time on that, but I just wanted to share the power of your thinking. The power you have to develop thoughts and to do it your own way. Authenticity goes a long way. Truthfully, I may not even go into a lot of these because I kind of want to share that too. I think I talked in another video. Maybe not, but at least it developed my way of thinking from one of the other books. And it was talking about if you wanted to do something, if you wanted to, let's say, become, let's just say these videos. If you wanted to become a great YouTuber, no, let's use the house builder. What it talks about is that you need to do it in your own way. You need to stay authentic because that's who you are. But the reason you'll go so much further with being in yourself, potentially, is that if you try and recreate someone else's invention or way of thinking, you're competing against them. If I was a cookie cutter house maker and I just built a regular house, and it's a great house, right? But I'm going to be competing against every other person who makes that house. You go through some subdivisions and every house looks exactly the same. And if I wanted to build another house and I built it like that, and all of those houses go up for sale, now I'm competing against every other house. That's why it's so much harder to get further, even inventions. Remember when the fidget spinner was huge? If I created a fidget spinner and tried to sell it on Amazon, I'm going to have so many competitors. I'm not going to stand out as much. But when you create something new, some people say recreate the wheel or create a whole new wheel. You're creating a whole new concept. You're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and not in a bad way. People are going to notice what you're doing because it's different. It's authentic. If you build a house on a waterfall and fill it with very strange things to the normal person, which is awesome things, you're going to stand out, and hopefully you stand out in a good way. And I think I don't think Emerson would be upset with me not going through all of his text. I'm not going to make it through because this video is probably already pretty long. And I know the videos get kind of long, but I think they would agree, him and other writers in that time, to be authentic. And that's a value a lot of people don't prioritize nowadays. Look at all the Instagram models, everyone trying to post something to look a certain way. And I know we all want to look good. We want to be great in other people's eyes at times. But don't forget to be great in your own eyes and stay true to yourself. You always hear about selling your soul, and it's giving up your values and the things you believe in. It's all these things are easier said than done, right? It's easy to say not to be swayed by people, not to be swayed by the friend groups you're in, or the shows you watch, or the people you look up to. But if you lose yourself, if you lose your values or choose to give them up or what you believe in, where does that leave you? It leaves you as an image of them. All the things you're following, you're an extension of them, right? If they believe in eating donuts and you hate eating donuts and now you start eating donuts, random example, think about why you would be doing that. I know that's just a random example, but think on a bigger scale. All the things I see it all the time. People get swayed to do things they don't believe in. It's just a problem because where does that leave yourself? When you lay down in bed at the end of the day and you've given up your values to do things you don't believe in, what impact does that have on your own mind and your own heart? Right? Because there's things we think, hey, I shouldn't do that, but you do it. That's bad enough. But our heart has its own pain that we feel, whether it's regret in doing something we knew we shouldn't have done. Your heart can hurt just as much as your mind when it's fighting temptations. So be authentic. It's going to get you so much further in life, whether with relationships, because you're always going to be true to the person, or if it's within your own goals. Bradley Martin, he's a big fitness YouTuber. And I remember years ago, he gave someone advice for creating a YouTube channel. And he said that you shouldn't have to think about what you're going to make. You should do things that you're already doing. And it may be more of a niche group, right? You may not get widespread. You may get specific people who follow you. But in the end, it's going to help out so much more, because if you're having to think about what to create, then what's going to happen the day you can't think of anything more? The day you're trying to make up these realities to share with people? I guess there's just so many things to being authentic, and I know it's something we shouldn't really have to talk about to tell people to stay true to themselves. It's a tricky world out there. I guarantee there's people around you who you think are being authentic, and maybe you think everyone around you is authentic, and maybe they are. That would be awesome. But the world's a tricky place. And from my own experience, I've seen that maybe the truth comes out and you find out they weren't authentic. Maybe you realize you weren't authentic. You weren't true to yourself. But it's just something I would begin thinking about. And in my second video, I'll do more excerpts and I'll just try and read through them. But authenticity is it's big. It's a vital component to people's lives. And I think people would get so much further in life and the world would be a better place if people were authentic. And it's because I believe that people are inherently good people. No matter what anyone wants to say, I believe deep down when we're all kids, we're good people and we have good intentions. But something happens when we get older. Not all the time, not everyone, but people get off their path of righteousness or get off their path of being a good person, being a kid. And why? It's because we grow up and people see bad things that happen or they get hurt and they stop believing in what they once believed, that things are good. And it's fine to change your thoughts. We should always be evolving into better people. But we should always be progressing, not regressing to a pessimistic, sadistic mindset. This video didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought I was going to share a lot more excerpts. Truthfully, I don't have time to remake it even if I wanted to, because it's about time for this thing to be uploaded. Yeah, this one's getting cut pretty close to the upload time. Nonetheless, these videos I want to share thoughts, no matter what the thoughts are. If it's something that can help either remind someone of something or teach them something, then that's a win in my books. If you decide to read this book, probably don't even know what it's about. I'll do more excerpts in the next video. It's really short. I don't know where you can find it. I haven't looked it up. I think I picked it up at a garage sale. It is kind of older, but if you end up finding it, you could read it in probably 2 hours. It's not that long. So that was Ralph Waldo Emerson's On Man and God. One more thing. Final note. Remain an authentic person and never let someone's words or actions sway you from what you believe in. Don't let the pleasures you see on your phone, the temptations, sway you from what you believe in. The haters, all the doubts in your mind. Don't believe anything that has to go through your mind, whether it's someone's words, their actions, your own beliefs. Believe what's in your heart, because that's going to get you where you want to be. Your mind, if you haven't learned, sometimes it works against you and it's going to try and trick you and deceive you. But your heart, it's never going to lie. So be authentic. That's all I got.